We're going to solve this by elimination, and the first thing we're going to do is scan both equations and see what we need to, if any of those can be eliminated right away. I see this, the x's are both the same number, but they're both positive, so they cannot be eliminated. The y's are different coefficients, even though they already have a positive and a negative. Okay, so my options here are to make one of the 6x's negative so that they can be canceled out, or multiply both equations so that the 7 and the 2 could be eliminated. It would be easier to just make one of these 6's negative. So I'm going to choose to multiply this whole equation by -1, which means that I'm going to multiply every single term by -1 so that that becomes, that first one becomes a negative. So I'm going to rewrite it. The first equation, I'm going to rewrite it here. I'm not going to do anything to it. And the second equation, I will multiply everything by -1. So -1 times 6x gives me -6x. -1 times -2y gives me +2y. -1 times 12 gives me -12. After I have done that, now I know I can cancel these out because this is positive, this is negative. Put a line because remember we're adding them together. So these two would cancel out. So now I have 7 plus 2 would be 9y. These are both negative, so we add them together, and I would have -27. So now I can solve for y. It's the only letter here. To solve for y, I'm going to have to divide by 9. And then I have y equals -3. Now that I know what y equals, I can use any of the equations of the original ones to plug it back in. Okay, so I can use the first one to plug it back in. So I'm going to write 6x plus 7, and instead of y, I am going to sub in the -3, and then equals -15. And now I'm going to solve for x. So 6x minus 21 equals -15. Plus 21 on both sides. Okay, and that'll be +6. 6x equals, divided by 6, x equals 1. Okay? My very last step would be to put these in the calculator, and I don't have the capability of showing that screenshot right now, but I would take both of those and plug them in the calculator as they are, but instead of x and y, I would plug in my answer. So you can also do it by hand, like 6 times 1 would be 6, and 7 times -3 would be -21. 6 plus -21 does give me -16. You can try the other one. 6 times 1 is 6. -2 times -3 would give you 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12. So then we know that it is correct. So we would plug it in. You can do it by hand, or you can plug it in the calculator like we check equations, and the calculator will tell you true if it's correct or false if it's not correct. So the final answer here would be, in coordinate points, would be 1, -3 xy. These two equations meet and are equal at this point, 1, -3.